Hey guys, welcome back to video 5 in our Hidden Art of Homemaking series. Alright guys, welcome back. I am Laura Wilkie with Down Home with Lemon Pie, and this is video 5. We are going chapter by chapter through this series, The Hidden Art of Homemaking, and I am excited to share this with you guys. It's by Edith Schaefer. This is a book that came out in the 70s. If you have missed any of these videos, they are linked below in the description of this video in the playlist for this Hidden Art of Homemaking. And I want to encourage you guys to subscribe and make sure that you hit the little, they have a new thing on YouTube now where you hit the notifications to subscribe, but then you still may not get notifications for the video. So you need to go over to the page where you're watching this video and find where it says that you are subscribed and select all, because if you do not do that, you may not find out when I post videos. So you don't want that. So yeah, this is Mother Culture Monday. This is when I'm sharing with you guys all things related to motherhood and parenting and homemaking in particular. And I'm excited for this book because this book was actually viewer recommended. So we're going through it chapter by chapter. Now, let's get started. This is chapter 6. It is about gardens and gardening, how we can use our gardens and our gardening skills if you have them in your homemaking. And I want to say I am not the best at gardening. I wish that I was. I wish that I had all the skills and could grow all the things. And we used to live in Texas, and I do honestly think that that was a big part of it, because now we are up in the Pacific Northwest and people's gardens here, flower, vegetable, you name it, are just beautiful and flourishing and amazing. And I think that hopefully someday while we're living up here, we will have a beautiful and amazing garden too. So let's get started. It says, you're thinking, what does gardening have to do with homemaking? And I'm going to tell you guys some stuff in this chapter I agree with. Some stuff in this chapter, kind of on the fence. I don't know. So it says, God's planted garden was both pleasant to look at and its produce was good to eat. There should be something of both of these aspects in every person's garden. It can be hard to have a garden, and it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of patience and commitment, but the fruits of that labor are tremendous. They are. And it says it even says it need not take a lot of time or study in order to express something to which other people can respond, or provide something of the healing of getting your fingers into the soil. She is talking about here, you don't have to have a ton of land to have a garden or to be able to grow something, even flowers or herbs or vegetables. You don't have to have this huge plot of land is what she's getting at here. She says, the very opposite of the machine or the plastic life of the city. I think that this was written in the 70s, and I think that speaks to a lot of what we see going on right now in today's world, especially with the toxins and the chemicals that are in the foods that are available for us, the burning up of the farms. I'm sure you've seen all of this on the news. We must know that there are no coincidences, and God has given us the skills to live and survive without all the bells and whistles, without, like she calls it, the machines and the plastic. So she says, you may have 300 acres to work with. You may only have 3. You may not even have an acre. You may have a large and fertile garden surrounding a suburban home, or you may have a tiny square space in the back of your city home. You may have a large balcony with space for oblong or round boxes or containers of some sort, or just a windowsill or 2. She says there is something very basic in being involved with a growing, living art form such as a garden of some sort. One can grow flowers, vines, small trees, vegetables, so on. Yeah, if you do not know, if you're brand new to my channel, if you haven't been following me, we are currently living in our RV, and I get this. I get it, because we don't have anywhere really to have a garden. Even our, like a windowsill garden on our kitchen table, we have cats, as you can see. I have one here, and they knock those suckers off the table. It is so annoying, and they do. And but I will tell you that we have had things occasionally while living in the RV, and it has been fine. For a while, our first summer, we had an aloe vera plant, and we left it outside in the nice weather and brought it in the cold. But as I said, we have cats, so it made it a little harder. But you can generally have something wherever you are. She says, there is something very exciting about holding tiny brown seeds in one's hand and rubbing soil in one's fingers to make it fine in texture, and putting some natural manure at the right depth to give richness to the soil, in placing the seeds with one's own fingers in the rows and covering them up and patting them. The day the first tips of green are seen, there is a thrill that is surely similar to producing an artwork. A thrill of accomplishment mixed with the reality of what is, what exists, what the universe consists of. Bottom line, human beings were made to interact with growing things. It's true. Yeah, it's true, and it's natural, and it's necessary. She says, to remove all direct contact with soil, seeds, plants, trees, flowers, fruit, and grain is as devastating to normal, balanced, fulfilled human growth as removing all direct contact with a home, with its natural interaction among human beings of different ages. Yeah, it's true. We were made to interact not only with each other, but with animals and with plants and gardens. And, God sent them out to do that on their own, part of the curse, Adam and Eve. And it's something we still can do, but we have all kind of gotten into this, it used to be done all the time for ages. And we all kind of got into this comfortable little seat where we were fine going to the store and getting whatever, getting even things that were out of season in the off seasons and all of this. And honestly, there's something so rewarding and good about just doing it yourself and knowing where it came from, knowing from start to finish where it came from. She says, the human race, rather than interacting with and carefully caring for the things God created to be in relationship with Him, to give Him environment and atmosphere and opportunity not only for staying alive, but also enjoying fulfillment of all the talents and sensitivities, the human race has in fact done the very opposite and has very effectively been ruining their own domain. Okay, so she's getting into a little bit here of, like ecology and, this whole thing, Earth Day kind of feel. I don't really get into that. I don't really get so much into the popularity of that, I guess. We don't learn about it in our homeschool. I just don't. And, the reason is that there's a lot of other things going on besides that. And I like I like the idea that getting back to simple, back to our basics, back to the beginnings. We should, to ask ourselves what we are doing about, can't turn the page, about our own plot of ground, whether it's a little 4x4 foot square or an acre or a whole farm or a forest. We should be doing some original landscape architecture, which combines art with preservation and conservation, which produces a growing beauty and which inspires other artists to do the same thing. Okay, she is coming into a section where she's going to talk about Christians and she talked about in some other chapters about Christians and art and music and things, and how we have those things that God gave us, the talents or the skills or these natural things, and we can use them as Christians in a better way. But I want to point out that many of us are not that great at gardening if you are like me. And I don't know, like I said, it might be because of where we lived, but I mean, the weather there was just atrocious and so crazy hot all the time that it was next to impossible to grow anything besides, for a short time. But there were times that we grew stuff. But here, I don't know, she gets into this little, almost like a little rabbit trail. So we're going down this rabbit trail. She says, a Christian who realizes he has been made in the image of the Creator and is therefore meant to be creative on a finite level should certainly have more understanding of his responsibility to treat God's creation with sensitivity and should develop his talents to do something to beautify his little spot on the world's surface. I agree with that. Absolutely. We should honor the spaces that God has given us. A Christian individual or organization should not move into a property and turn it into shambles. I agree. Yeah. The opposite should be true. It should grow and blossom into a place of beauty, demonstrating something of the wonder of the one who made plant life to produce seeds in the first place. Okay, this is where I get a little bit not sure, because she says Christians should have more beautiful gardens, should be more careful to build without cutting down the lovely trees, should be more sensitive about keeping the brook unspoiled as it bubbles through their lands. It seems to me the beauty which causes strangers stop passing by to stop and enjoy a garden, provide a background, and already says something which gives an emphasis to what it is important to say. Of course, one must speak of the historic and prophetic facts which people need to hear, the truth about God and the universe. But this makes much more sense in a setting which shows that action on the basis of truth really does fit in with the universe as it is and was created. So this is where I get a little iffy, because especially that sentence about Christians should have more beautiful gardens, because we have tried for years and it always ends up the same thing. In fact, my husband even has a thing where we would go and in the spring we would pick out the plants. And my husband would always say, okay, which plants are we going to kill? Which ones do you want to buy? And it's true. And it didn't matter how much or how little we watered them. It just came down to the fact that Texas is hot and it's crazy hot, and there just comes a point where everything dies. Even when it's 100 something degrees every day for months, things just can't survive even in the shade. And so I think I get what she's saying here, but I don't like the way it's really phrased, because it can be tricky. So especially if you're looking at things that are beautiful, like up here where we live now in the Pacific Northwest, there's so many flowers, so much green. It's just beautiful all summer long. And it's not the same as it was in Texas. In Texas, it was green for a short time in the spring and then brown all summer, and everything would just fry. And it was so miserable. But I'm excited to do something fun here. She says, but the thing which causes most passerbys to turn and look again, slowing up the car if they are driving, is the touch of an artist indeed. So yes, I agree with this. We can reach people for Christ through our gardens. And even if it's not through a beautiful garden, maybe it's because you are able to take a bundle of flowers that you grew or a bunch of fruits and vegetables or something to a neighbor or a friend who may not be a Christian, and then use that opportunity to speak to them and deliver the gospel. I think that is a good way to utilize your garden and a great way to reach Christ, help others reach Christ. So she says, she talks here about a place where they lived and they didn't have a nice view out the window, and they planted some flowers, and over time, just the vines growing and the greenery, it just became a beautiful place. And that is so true, that we can see that you'll see pictures of cities and they're just torn up or worn or construction, and then you'll see like that little sprout coming through the sidewalk. And I think that just speaks so much, and we can use those moments to relate the idea of Christ to others and to help them see God in the everyday. She says, it really was fantastic to see the difference made by this vine. The vine covered barrier and the flowers spilling out and over onto the tin roof. The whole thing gave a satisfaction that cannot be described, a feeling of elegance. And I like this. It had an effect on other people when they would come over. It was a conversation piece, a place to start with people who lived in the same building and who came to see us. I like that. A place to start. It gives you something to go on, because people who are Christians and people who are not Christians have gardens. And they have this wonder about making something grow, something from their own hands. And I do think that there is something there that you can use that as a way to get in, like a step in the door. So I do like that very much. Okay. I remember some of the gardens of the farmers in our congregation, their tables spread with food that they had grown themselves, things of beauty that were beautiful as they grew, and then as they picked and as they were served. We all know that feeling when someone gives you, or when you have grown a vegetable or a fruit and it's part of your meal that night, or we all know that feeling, how beautiful and wonderful, and it's just fun, like we grew this, and so that's just fulfilling. Let's see. Oh, the frustration and the monotony of not being able to be creative because of feeling that there is no time to pursue any of the arts, and that one must simply do office work or whatever is our daily work and collapse at the end of the day. I think we can all relate to this. A change can be as restful as any other kind of rest. A change which gives fulfillment to otherwise hidden and suppressed creativity can do even more than rest in releasing frustrations. I agree. And I can see this, we can see this even in like modern society. It's so easy to flip on your phone and to just sit on social media or to do the news. Everything is on our phone. So it looks like we're on our phones all the time, whether you're working on your banking or you're writing a grocery list, it all looks the same. You're checking the news, you're, doing some emails, you're checking in with whatever, you're texting about kids' soccer games or whatever. It all looks the same. It all looks like somebody sitting on their phone, and there's not that differentiation. And I think that becomes so monotonous. And then gardening, though, cannot be done on your phone. Maybe the research, maybe the ordering, but it literally cannot be done on your phone. You literally have to put it down and get into something else. You have to get into God's world that he created for us. And it's something to be said for that. Something to be said where we can feel like, let's just eat dinner and then relax on our bed with our phones versus actually getting in there and doing something. So gardening, among other forms of creativity and hidden art, is something which can be a shared activity. I love this because you can do this with your kids, you can do this with your friends, your neighbors. And I like this next part. Not only can be important techniques of gardening be taught to the new gardener as he works with an experienced one, but there are spiritual lessons that can be learned. Okay, so she gives us some examples from the Bible where you can kind of throw in while you're teaching. These are so good for teaching your kids or your neighbors or whoever you happen to be interacting with while you're gardening. But I just like these, and they're subtle. They're just little subtle things that you can kind of throw in there while you are working, but also to help share Jesus. The first one is, I am the vine, ye are the branches, says Jesus. And when one works with vines, having branches, the practical reality brings these words alive. There's so many things that we don't always understand fully unless we can get in there and really understand them. Like, I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's true. There's so many things, little references in the Bible that are different from our modern life. And it's hard for us to relate to some of the things because we're not sure how that looks. But then when you get in and you find out, oh, this is what that was. Oh, this is the work that takes. Oh, I get it now. It makes more sense. The next one is, he that abideth in me and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me, ye can do nothing. I like it. She gives the one about the wheat falls on the different kinds of grounds. One sighs as one gradually realizes that there is simplicity here and great and complicated depth all at one time, to come to a place where one is really wanting to die to self and ambition, to come to a place of seeming to lose one's life by handing it over to God's plan is, it seems to me, more vivid for a person living in the setting of the seed, plant, fruit process rather than always in the midst of the mechanical machine process. I think so many more people are moving towards this direction, and it has been going on for years and in many states and countries, and people don't want that. They don't want to feel like they're living in this man-made created world. They want to be in God's world. And whether or not they're Christians, they feel that innately, that that's what they want. That's why you see so many people, even people who aren't Christians, looking for land, looking to homestead, looking to get back to the basics, because there's like a desire inside of us. And I like this. This is about the sower. You can weed and weed and weed, and if you are away for a few days, the weeds return to choke out the plants completely. The references with, you can be in your Bible and all the time, and then when you step away from it for a few days, it's like you almost were never there, or that feels like an eternity since you've read your Bible. And it's true. There's just so many references here. Similarly, like with the weeds, when you skip out on doing the weeding for a few days, it feels like there's just an eternity of weeds all over your vegetables, and you have to take care of that. Art in any form demands discipline and hard work, things we want to teach our families, right? This is all a part of man living in the midst of that with which he was created to interact. Like I said, we were created to do that. One of the greatest destructions in the whole field of ecology is the dehumanizing of man as he lives with machines. Have you ever thought of it that way, that it is dehumanizing to us to have so many conveniences? Instead of with living, growing, responding plant and animal life, she says, I'm not advocating that everyone should rush off and become a farmer. I am. I totally am. The world we live in is different than the world of the 70s. I'm totally advocating that. But she says, or be homesteaders, though that might be a very good thing. She says, rather, I am trying to say simply this: whoever you are, wherever you live, take at least one small step against the tide of destruction of the balances in nature, against the waves of plastic, and do something positive in the area of landscape architecture right now, even if it's only in a butter tub. Okay, I like the simplicity here. It's like permission to, that it doesn't have to be beautiful and Pinterest perfect. I always see like the social media pictures, and we can get so wrapped up about that. Like, it doesn't look like this, so it's not worth doing. And that's just not true. It's just not true. So anyway, that wraps up the gardening chapter for the hidden art of homemaking. If you missed any of the other chapters, they are so good. They are fulfilling. They are full of truths, and I encourage you to click below at the playlist where you can find all of these listed and check them out, because yeah, they're good. Okay, we are about almost halfway through this book. It looks like we're going to start chapter 7 next time. Next week it is a flower arrangement, so I'm excited to share that one with you guys, because that is not something that I do a whole lot of, to be quite honest. Yeah, it's just not. So I'm excited to go into that with you guys and see how we can do more of that in our homes and places we can hide beautiful flowers without feeling like, it's a big chore. So I like that. So stay tuned. That's where we'll be next week, and I will catch you guys next time.